So remember, like to access the data of any object, we need to create a tab for that object. Without tab, we won't
Okay.
be able to access the data corresponding to any object. Okay.
Okay.
So we can create a tab in two ways for any object. I will see that. So if you have a tab for
Yeah, yeah.
that object, you can add that tab to any app. It might be sales app,
Okay.
service app, whatever the app it might be. For whatever the app you want to add, you can add it.
Okay. Okay. So that we will call it as a tab. Inside the tab, we have an objects.
Yeah. So here, let's suppose if we navigate to sales application. Okay, I'm going to sales application. So if you go to this application, here you can see several tabs. Tabs are nothing but here you can see home, opportunities, leads, listen.
Leads. Yeah.
These are nothing but tabs. So, so with the tab, let's suppose I want to create opportunity or I want to access opportunity records. At the time, what we are doing, we are navigating to opportunities. Similarly,
Okay.
whenever you create new object, if you create a tab, you can find the tab. If you added this tab in an app, you can find it in any app. Whereas if you won't add this app to, sorry, tab to any app, then you can go to app launcher. If you created a tab for that app, you can search from here as well, any tab account. So
Okay.
if tab is available, it will give you this kind of suggestion. If there is
Okay.
no tab for the object, you won't be able to see the tab to access the data to create a record for that object. Okay, so now for testing purpose, we'll create two to three, one or two objects today, and I'll explain you different fields available in any object. Okay, and then
Oh,
I'll
okay.
then I'll give you one project for data modeling. You can walk through that PDF and you can create that data model so that you'll understand these relationships much clearly.
Yeah, sure.
So now, whenever you want to create a object, what you can do first, we need to go to setup. After jumping to setup, here we'll be having object manager. So to create any app, we can create it in a two ways. So you can see we'll be having create option now, custom object or custom object from spreadsheet. So custom object means by entering the data in a by clicking on this, you can create a custom object directly from Salesforce. Whereas if you have data in some spreadsheet, Excel spreadsheet kind of thing, with that data, if you want to create an object and fields corresponding to the object directly, you can go to this custom object from spreadsheet and you can upload that spreadsheet so that you can create object and its fields. It's another way. And now from the schema builder also we can create an object. Yesterday I explained you like we'll be having schema builder. With that we can see relationship between different objects. Remember?
Different tables, accounts wise. Yeah.
Mhm. How each and every object is related, we can see that information by taking help of this schema builder. With the schema builder, if you want to create any object also, you can create an object. So let's suppose if you click on elements in this, you can see you can create these many types of fields from this schema builder. Let's suppose if I go to objects, let's suppose I'll select account. So you can see account, right? So in this
Yeah.
account, if you want to create any new field, what you can do is you can navigate to element. After navigating to element, whatever the field you want to create on this table, you can drag and drop that field into the object canvas.
Okay.
So you can see it is asking on an account object, you are creating date type field. What is the name you want to give for that field? What is the description you want to give? Field name means API name. Field label means the name which should be appear whenever you want to enter the data from a front end.
Okay.
Description, help text. So if you want to give any default values, you can add it. If you want to make it required field, you can make it as a required field. Understood
Okay.
how we can
Yeah.
create a from schema builder? In this way, we can create a field in any object. Or else,
Okay.
if you have a requirement, like if you want to create object itself from a schema builder also, you can do. So if you drag and drop
Okay.
object here, it will ask you to create an object. What is the name
Okay.
you want to give? What is the plural label? What could be the object name? Like that, it is asking all the features, context sensitive and record name, data type, allow reports, whether we can be able to create a reports on this or not. Allow activities means if some field value is you modified, if you want to monitor the changes or not. Track field history. So if you want to track history of some field, if whether you can able to track or not. By default, these are disabled. Based on your requirement, you enable or disable these things. So
Okay.
in development, if you keep a status like in development, you won't be able to see this object in any database table. You won't be able to access the object.
Okay.
Whenever you want to access any object, its status should be in deployed.
Okay.
Clear? How we can create a object or field from a schema
Object.
builder. So
Schema builder.
all these
So
fields are in.
once we do this, do we need to do any changes, like any save option is there in the schema builder, or automatically it will get added
No, no,
once we
like,
save?
see, once we enter this data, here will be getting save button now at the bottom,
Okay,
save or
okay.
cancel. So here itself, it will be saved.
Okay, okay. So same way like we entered a field, right, in the
Same
existing
thing. So yesterday we did,
same
we
thing.
created some field now. So similarly,
Yes.
you can add a field by drag and dropping it into the database table like this.
Okay,
So
once we
let's
save
suppose
and
if
it
you
will get automatically saved. Okay.
so currency, let's suppose if you add here, if you enter the data and if you click on save, it will be automatically added to the object.
Okay.
Ha. So understood schema, how to use a schema builder to create a field and everything.
Yes.
So
Yes,
now
yes.
I'm navigate it.
So one question, Yakub, like, so we are doing these changes, right?
Ha.
So in real time, we will have some environments, right?
Ha.
Like QA, dev. So
Yes.
once we do, this will get reflect to all the users, right? Like who are all, for example, if there is a specific role like medical representatives,
Uh-huh.
so all those people can see this change, right, in the
So let's
respective
suppose,
account.
yeah, we'll see. No, like for everyone, it won't reflect. We'll see. So let's suppose I want to add checkbox field and I'll enter a data is active. Okay, I want to create this field. Help text, I'm not keeping anything. By default, it is unchecked. I am saving it. Field is saved. So you can see I created a new field with is active. Okay, where it is active.
Yeah,
Active is
active.
already
Yeah,
there.
that is
No, 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 no. We created is active, right?
is
Here
active.
you can see.
Yeah,
On the top, you
top.
can see. Now I want to close this page.
Okay. Once you open any account and see, you need to see that.
So I'm going to accounts. Going to details. So I'll refresh the page. I will do one thing,
Okay.
whether it is available in an object database table or not. Like we did not data, we'll see now what happens.
Okay.
But saying it's not available, like we'll go to object manager and we'll check whether that field is created or not. So
Okay.
account object, use underration tips. So it's created, you can see.
Yeah, underscore is custom object, right?
Custom
Custom
field.
fields.
So there's a with the browser cache, it is not loading immediately, but this field is created. Okay. So if it
Okay.
is not there, you can check the page layout, and there is no, if it is not available in page layout, you can add it. Okay.
Okay.
Let's suppose I'm clicking on this field. So you can see this field information briefly. So, and remember the by default set field level security, field level accessibility. Who can able to access this field? Set field level security, like what is the security for this field? Everything we can check here by coming to object manager. Initially, we'll see in a high end. So you can see by default, whatever the profiles are visible for remaining fields in this object, those will be populated here. For this object, you'll be having some security settings. Na? Those visibility settings by default apply to this field.
Okay.
So we are creating from schema builder, right? It is not asking
Yeah.
this stuff. But for the object, whatever the security access it is having, same it follows. You can
Okay.
see these are the tick boxes by default tick. Let's suppose in your company, if you have a object called uh, representatives. So for that
Okay.
object, let us assume scenario like for that object, there might be access for system admin, sales users, and medical users. So whenever you create a field from a schema builder onto that specific object, the access will be provided to these three profile having users only.
Okay.
That will happen in the background. Okay, so now I'll come back to object manager. Now I'll try to create a new custom object. So do you have any idea like which object will create? So let's suppose I'll create a dummy object to make you understand what are the audit fields and everything. So let's suppose I
Okay.
want to create a database table with the name employee. So for testing
So
purpose,
you for this object thing you came from navigation. Can you show once
again I came to
object
object
manager?
manager. I'm clicking on
Okay,
create.
just
In
create
this, I'm
create
clicking
object
on custom object.
custom. Okay,
Uh,
clear.
we need to create a custom object now. So I'm going to create a custom object. Which object will create? Tell me any name.
We can access employee information, right? So we'll go with employee
No, no, whatever
accounts.
we want, you can do it. Employee, like
Okay.
let's suppose we have a requirement. So remember when we need to create this custom object. So by default, Salesforce will provide standard objects, na? Account, contact,
Okay.
lead, opportunity like that. They'll provide standard objects. So
Hmm.
if those objects are not compatible, or if you have a different requirement to store the data, if you need more and more different fields or any unique fields, then you can go to custom objects and you can create your own custom object. Okay.
Okay.
So let's suppose any database table is not preferable, like comfortable to me to save my data. At the time, I can go to object manager. There, I can click on custom and I can create a custom object. So
Okay.
the next by default object name API name will be populated. Remember here it is coming like employee now. By default, it will
Hmm.
follow the structure like employee underscore underscore C.
Okay.
Okay. So now for this object, for which purpose you are creating, if you want to write any description, you can add the description here. Okay.
Okay.
Now after adding the description, context sensitive help settings. So open standard salesforce.com help training window, open a window using Visualforce page. So I am not touching that thing now. So record name. Enter record label format means like by default, while creating a record, we need to store at least the important information corresponding to the person. Let's suppose if you want to store a record, the mandatory field is record name. Mandatory field is record name. Let's suppose I want to create an employee record. It should have a name first, isn't it? Without
Yeah.
name, we should
Yeah.
not be able to create a record. So here,
Yeah.
it is a mandatory field to create any object or any database table. Okay. So here, we'll be having two options to the data type. So either you can create by default data type with a text, or you can go with auto number. Sometimes for some type of records, serial numbers are more than enough.
Okay.
Okay,
In that
serial
case,
number.
we'll go with the auto number.
Ha. And here you can set up a format as well. So here he mentioned a format. A 4 zeros means first record will be having number like A 0001, second record will be A 0002, like that the numbering will takes place. And first number, like with 0 you want to start or with 1 you want to start, you can keep that number. If you follow auto
Okay.
number structure. So by default, here it is coming like a text. By default, it is coming like a text. So at this moment, I am going with the text only.
Okay.
It means what happens is in an object, in an object database table, one field will be created with a employee name. With this employee name, we can segregate a different people. It means
Okay.
it should be unique kind of thing. And it is a mandatory or required field on an object. Whereas if you keep
Oh,
auto number, duplicate numbers won't be created. So by default,
hmm.
whatever the starting number you specify, with that it will take you into the how many records you'll create, that many numbers it will assign. So for let's suppose for the first record it assign number 1, second number 2, third number 3, so on it will goes.
Okay. Then there will be no duplicates issue.
Ha. Okay. The next thing is, so after keeping this thing, the next will be having optional features based on your requirement. You can enable or disable these things. So
Okay.
coming to the allow reports. So whatever the database table you are creating here, whatever the object you are creating here, on that object in the future, if you want to create any reports, so there, if you want to access this object data, you need to select this option.
Okay.
Allow activities means whenever someone changes the data to your object, if you want to monitor those changes in an activities, you need to allow this feature, allow activities.
Okay.
So I'm taking these. Track field history. So let's suppose in your object, if you want to monitor the data changes in any specific field. So let's
Okay.
suppose what we have let's suppose I want to monitor the changes in a record name, employee name field we are creating, right? So I want to check if the employee name changes, I need to monitor that changes. So at the time we can track field history. We'll see this feature much briefly later in an upcoming sessions. Okay, allow in charter group like that will be having several options. These are optional things. The
Okay.
next object classification. Then allow sharing, whether we can able to share this object data to the different applications or different people or not. Allow bulk API access. So if you want to create or bulk update the records, whether you can be able to access this thing or not. So in a real time, if you can able to stream it or not, like that, they'll give some default settings. You can go with the default things. Deployed means by whenever you create this object, it will be available to everyone if you keep it in a deployed status. Whereas for the testing purpose in your organization, if you're creating it, you can keep it in development so that it won't be visible to anyone.
Okay.
The next will be having allow search option. Allow search means if you won't select this, if you search, so I said it is a global search now. From here, you can find anything, any object field or any record data. You can search any object data or any field data, isn't it? So
Yeah.
let's suppose if you want to search this object data, whether it should be available or not. That's what we are doing it here.
Okay. If we allow it, we are able to search it from the global search.
Ha ha. So if you want to do that, you can select this one. So after this, you'll be having options like object creation options. Add notes and attachments related list to default page layout. So if you go to any object database table, you can see related lists. You can see contacts, opportunities, cases, like that we can see related list. See here, you
Okay.
can see notes and attachments now. So
Okay.
by default, for this object also, while creating this object database table, whether I want to add this related list or not by default.
Okay.
If you click on this, so like this, however, the notes and attachments tabs comes under this account, like that, it will become a for employee table as well.
Okay.
Similarly, launch new custom tab wizard after saving this custom object. So if you select this tick box, what happens is by default, records will be, sorry, one tab will be available for this object.
So the name will be the employee, right? Once we create this, we give the name
So
like
shall we
employee.
apply? Yeah. Shall we create this tab here or like we'll create from a different page?
I
So for the
think it's fine. We
first time we'll
can,
go like this. For the next object,
yeah.
we'll create like independently.
Okay.
I'm creating this now. It's not disappearing. Now it's gone. You can see it is taking us to create a new custom tab when we selected the tick box now. So with that note, it is taking us into a tab creation page. So if you want to create a tab directly, like if you select that box and you can create it, or else come to setup and enter a tab and you can navigate to the same page.
Okay.
Okay. So now for which object you want to create a table? Means a tab. So
Yeah.
as for one object, we can create only one tab. That's why. So in a entire Salesforce environment, employee app, sorry, object only not having a tab. That's why this object only available here. If you have multiple objects, so if you don't have tabs for multiple objects, those all objects will be available here.
Okay.
Now tab style. So here, if you want to keep any icon or any styling for this tab, you can select that.
Okay.
Okay, whatever the symbol you want, you can set up that. Which we can keep
People
people where it is.
under motorcycle. Yeah.
So employee. So I'm keeping people. So now custom link, I'm not adding anything. And the next enter a short
Short
description.
description.
I don't want to add any short description. If you want to add any, you can. So now next it is asking us whatever the tab we are creating. So for which people it should be default available. Default
Okay.
available means
So I asked the question like whom we should be like this in this point. It is covered, right? Like this page, we can see what profiles to access this particular tab.
yes. So for these profiles, for which profile it should be default on, for which profile it should be default off. So by default, you can see here we'll be having two options. Apply tab visibility to all profiles default on, right? If you make it as default off, means by default this tab won't be available.
Okay.
Whereas if you keep tab hidden means this tab will be hidden. Though they can able to see the data, they can access from app launcher, but by default in an app, they won't be able to see.
Okay.
Sorry, tab hidden means they won't be able to access the database table. Default off means it won't be available in an app, but from app launcher they can find. Default on means they can see it in an app page as well as they can access from app launcher.
Okay. Okay. So tab
So
hidden is like we can't access the data from that particular
from that specific tab.
object.
Ha.
Okay.
Tab hidden means it will be hidden from app launcher as well as from an app page, it will be hidden. Default off means
Okay.
by default it won't be available in an app page, but from app launcher you can navigate to the tab by searching the tab name.
Okay.
And so here I made a default off. No, I'll go to different visibility settings. So I kept default off. That's why it is default off for all the profiles. So for whichever the profiles in the real time, we'll be having this kind of scenarios only, right? So if you are creating some
Yeah.
object or some tab, we need to give access to some set of people only. So here
Mm.
for a system admins only, I'm making it as a default on. Okay,
Okay.
default on, bring on next. Then next it is taking for app page. Then so okay, profile wise I am fine. Then for which apps I need to give an access for this tab. For which apps I need to add this tab.
Okay.
So we'll be having sales app, service application, like that we'll be having several applications, right? On
Yeah.
all
Yeah.
the applications, for which apps I need to include this tab. So I'm making it as deselected means I don't want to make it available for all the things. So I want to add it for only my first app. We created one
Yeah. That we
custom app, right?
created.
Ha.
Correct. Correct.
For that app only, I want to add this tab. So in the real time also we'll be having specific requirements. It should be available for specific app only, na? So now
Hmm.
it will be available for that thing only. Now we'll see. I'll refresh this page. So now after refreshing this, I'll refresh this page. You can see whatever the tab we created that won't be available in this app. It is a sales app now. That's why it is won't be available. Why means we did not add it to this application. If you want to add it by clicking on this pencil icon, you can add it. As I explained you already, if you add it by clicking on
Yeah,
this
yeah.
pencil icon, it will be available to you only. So if you want to make it
Okay.
available for all the users, you can go to edit page and you can do it. Okay.
Okay.
Then what I'll do is I need to navigate to my first tab. So it is our first tab. You can see
Yeah,
this
employees of tab is added.
employees tab is added now. It's added. By
Yes.
default, some buttons also came. Okay. We'll
Okay.
navigate to the fields. So we did not create any fields in this database table. Though here you can see the fields and relationships. How many fields are there? 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 fields are created by default. You can see
Yeah.
fields are said as audit fields. So in an interview, you might face a question like, what are audit fields present in Salesforce? Audit fields means these are the fields which we need not to create. These are created
Okay.
while creating an object itself.
Yeah.
Okay. So created by means whenever you create some object record, by default, created by field will be created. Employee name, as we created this field, like a record name is Sana,
Yeah.
that field is coming with the name employee name. If you want to modify it, you can modify initially only name, text. So here you'll be having option to edit this field. Okay. So if
Okay.
you don't have the records, you can edit this. If you don't have any records, you can edit this.
Okay.
You can see. So example also he has given. So employee name means it is like a account name. Okay. So if you keep like a text, it will be look like that. Auto number means the view will be changes completely. Numbering and starting
Okay.
number, everything it will ask. I don't want to change it, but to show you that I came to this portion. As though it is a standard fields, we can edit it. Okay.
Okay.
Means like we'll be having two options now. Text or auto number. In the future, if you get an idea like you
Yeah.
want to modify this, you can change it.
Okay. Okay.
Okay. The next you'll be having lost modified by. So who modified the record recently?
Okay. So
That we
these
can
for
write.
these created by last modified and owner will not have any edit access, right? Only for the
Ah, yes.
will have the
Employee
edit.
name.
Okay.
Record name of field only we can able to edit.
Okay.
So now if you go to this object, by default one page layout also created. We'll walk to the page layouts later. But as of now, what we'll do is I'll go to new and I'll see which page is available here. So whatever the added fields are there, like it will populate entire data, but while creating the record, it will take input for employee name only. This is only
Okay.
the field data we need to pass. So let's suppose I'll give field name like Prithvi. So if we save this will be saved.
Okay.
So now in a detail page, you can see all 4 fields data. Employee,
Okay.
owner, created by, last modified by, everything you can see.
Yeah.
Okay, so now what I'll do is I'll create different fields on this object and I'll see how I can see, we'll see the different things. Okay, so now
Yeah.
I'll create a new field on this. So we'll be having several options. So formula fields, I don't want to create as of now. So relationship fields, we'll see after few minutes. Checkbox field. First, I'll create a checkbox field. I need to check. So in the company, lot of people will join and left the company, right? I need to
Mm.
track whether that employee is an active employee or not. So active means currently with the company. Inactive means like he left the company. Okay, like that. So now
Yeah.
I'll keep a name like is active is my field name. Now by default, whether it should be checked or unchecked, you can select it. Field label by default, it will be populate. API name. Description, if you want to keep it, you can keep it. Auto add a custom report type, say I want to add it. Next. After creating field previously, whatever the options we got, all those options you can see. So whatever the app we
Yeah.
created, it should be like it is like whatever the object we
Visible
created.
for what?
For
Visible for
which
which profile?
profiles. So I'm going as is by default. I'm going and which page layout it should be available. So by default, while creating any custom object, one page layout will be created. For that page layout, I am adding this field. If you won't add it, if you untick this field won't be available to you in a page layout.
Okay.
Okay, so now I'm going with the default options. By default, I'm taking it. For the next field, we won't do this and we'll add it manually. How we need to do,
Okay.
we'll see that. Okay, so now I'm saving this. After clicking on this, you can see the new field is created with the name is active. So
Yeah.
I want to make it as a required field, mandatory field. I did not did it. Okay. So if you while creating this field, we'll be having option now. From there we can do. Though yeah, we'll do the next field as a mandatory field. Okay.
Yeah.
Now what I'll do is I'll come to this database table and I'll refresh the page. So you can see one checkbox field is added here. So if you
Yeah.
want to edit it, see we added it in a page layout. That's why it is available here.
Hmm.
Okay, so now what I want to do is I change the field data now. So edit, I want to make it active. I want to save it.
Need to refresh the page again.
Do that. No, it's not updating. Why? So it will update. Coming in a red color. Okay, we'll see that later, but it will work. Okay, so now what I'll do is, yeah, we'll create another field and we'll see. So now whenever you want to create a field, we need to go to fields and relationship. From here, we need to create a new field. So now I'm clicking on new. While clicking on new, I want to create a different field. See, whatever the field you want to create, you can see that. So you can create it from here. So now I want to select a joining date. Like I want to enter a joining date while creating this thing.
Okay.
So let's suppose I don't want to create a yeah date. Date means joining date. We'll consider joining date. By default, I'll go default options. I don't want to make it as a required field. Next.
So it is not required field?
No, I did not made it required. So
Okay.
yeah, if you want, you can. So if you make some field as required field means by default it yeah. So you can see it is here will be get options, right? We can enable or disable in a page layout. If it is not a required field, if it is not a mandatory field, we can do this. But if it is a required field, we won't be able to remove that field from a page layout.
Okay. Okay.
Okay, I'm saving this. So I don't like yeah, I don't want to add it up here. I'm saving here. So now, though the field is created, but it won't be available in this page layout. Okay, let's suppose
Mhm.
I'll refresh this page.
Okay.
Now, after refreshing this page, I'm clicking on new. If you see this new page here, you'll see only two fields, employee name and is active. Why
Yeah.
it is not showing another field? So
You have not added in that, right? A page layout.
we did not add it to the page layout. That's why it is not available. Okay. So now we need to add it into the page layout. So to add any field into page layout, from fields and relationships to, we need to jump to page layouts. So as you can
Okay.
see, we have only one page layout. In a real time, for one object, we'll be having multiple page layouts. So for different
Okay.
profiles, they need to give different look and feel for the object. That's why they'll maintain different page layouts. So as it is a custom object, we created it for custom profile, one custom profile. That's why we are going with single page layout, let assume. Okay. So if you want to create a page layout also, you can come to this portion and you can create a new page layout. So here you can see I want to add a new field in the page layout. Which field? Joining date field we need to add.
Joining date.
On which
Yeah.
portion we need to add? In the same portion. On the right side, I want to add that field, joining date. Beside is active, I need to add that field here. So for that, what you can do is in the fields portion, in the page layout palette, you can drag and drop the joining date here. And you can click on
Okay.
save button. We'll see this page layout briefly in the next session. We'll create a new page layout and we'll see how it will work and
Oh,
okay, everything we'll see. So now what we did, we added that field to the page layout. Once you refresh this page, that field will be available to this page layout now. So the browser cache, sometimes it won't load fastly.
okay. It will take some time, right?
It's a class lightning now. It will take time. If it is classic, it will come immediately. Why means they will hit database several times, no?
Hmm.
You're getting right everything? Yeah, you can connect with the same link if you want.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
now let's suppose I'll try to create a new thing so that we'll see whether it is available or not. So it's not yet came, though we added.